Jointing boards on the table saw. And we have two boards here, yes, two victims that happen to be tongue and groove boards. In fact, these are what we call volet lame. Basically, boards that we make shutters out of here in France. It's quite a loose tongue and groove, as you can see. Loads of movement, you see. Now, the thing is, I need to remove the tongue and the chamfer on these boards, so I end up with a straight edge. I'm going to do the same on that one, so I end up with a straight edge. And then we're going to try and glue those together. Now, comments in a previous video, or commenter, said that I like to join my boards on the table saw. Now, I thought to myself, well, I suppose you could do that, but I can't see it being a very good job, and there's various reasons why you shouldn't do that. Now, I tend to use a jointing plane, a hand plane, a Stanley Bailey number 7, which is in my rack over there. Now, the thing is, you see, there are scenarios where you don't necessarily want to do one of the techniques that I'm going to show you in a moment. But I'll explain why. But first of all, we need to remove these tongues. Oh my giddy aunt, I've got rust appearing on my table saw. I only cleaned it, 2 days ago, and polished it, and I've already got a bit of corrosion on it. I don't know where that is. And over here. Blimey, how'd that happen? Something wet has been put on my table saw. I don't know how that's happened. Oh dear. I bet it's the dear missus bringing me a cup of coffee or something, or there isn't a ring. So, we need to set the fence to the actual blade. We need to set the blade height, and I like the gullet to be above the wood so it can clear the sawdust properly. That helps prevent kickback as well. Now, as you might notice, we have no riving knife on this saw. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting you don't have a riving knife, but the riving knife for this saw is just wrong. Just wrong. Now, I need to devise a way if I'm making a splitter or a riving knife for this saw. Because I know I'm going to get it in the comments. I always do. Where's your riving knife? You're going to get kickback. If you've been doing it as long as I have, saws didn't used to have riving knives. They never used to have them. People used to have wedges, you know? Anyway, I do agree a saw should have a riving knife then, okay? So I'm not dismissing the riving knife. Now, we will be fitting one on there at some point when I can work out a way to do it, because the way it works is just ridiculous. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut the tongue off, and we don't stand in line with the blade. We'll put a face in line with the blade. We don't put fingers in line with the blade. We keep our fingers and our hands away from the blade. Now, I tend to use these push pad things, what I make. And I like these. You can put your hand on the top like so, and there's no way you can push your hand down or slip into the blade. That's why one reason I like them. The other thing is when you're pushing your wood through past the fence, don't have your push stick up against the fence. It needs to be in the middle of your board or slightly to nearer the blade even. And that way you're basically applying pressure towards the fence and forwards. And gentle pressure, but you're basically trying to keep your piece of wood to the fence. Now, tell you what, let's just do it. Come on. Oh, damn. 2 pieces of wood. Okay. 1 saw blade spinning very fast. And I'm going to, no push sticks, anything to start with, and once I've made the first engagement, and I'll be applying pressure against the fence. I'm not standing here, so if you get kickback, it's going to hit you in the gut. Stand here, right? And don't ever do this. I've seen people do this before. Don't do that. Really bad idea. You can't see what the wood is doing against the fence. That is borderline stupidity, seriously. So, I don't travel with the wood, like out of my hand, no. Because at the moment of lapse of concentration, your right hand will push your left hand into the blade. Don't do that. I tend to put my thumb, behind the actual table here, okay? And I use my other fingers here as a way of just guiding or applying pressure towards the fence. And then I push the wood forwards gently into the blade. While I'm applying pressure against the fence so I don't get kickback, I then use my push pad, not touching the fence, and apply pressure in a diagonal like so. Once I'm on the actual table, I can release my hand and all the pressure is applied with the push pad. And yes, I reached over. My arm is way above the blade. If you've got your blade up in the air, it's a problem. Okay? Just don't lean right over the blade, obviously. If you've been doing this as long as I have and hasn't had an accident, I must have been doing something right. I've seen so many people who have had accidents. Now I'm looking at this now. Well, that's all right. I haven't quite took enough of the chamfer off, but that'll be right for this demonstration. So thumb on the back of the table saw top, not on the wood, all right? You don't do that, no. Because our body, our brain, it's like, you know, patting your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time. Sooner or later, you're going to fail and you're going to push your hand into the blade. You don't want to do that, obviously. So put your thumb behind the table saw top, applying pressure to the wood against the fence. Before you get too far. I just did something I don't normally do. Do you know what that is? These aren't safety specs, they're just ready specs. They're just reading glasses, that's all they are. I should have put my corrected safety specs on. Because, you know, really by reading glasses, are they impact resistant? Allow me to show you the glasses that I tend to wear. It's these. And these are bifocal safety glasses. Effectively, they're like ready specs or like reading glasses, bifocal. Not the bifocal, they're very focal. Sorry, they're very focal. And these are +2s. And these are what I generally wear. If you see a lot of my videos, you see me wearing these. And these ones are by Visionet, and they're excellent. They're not very cheap, but they've got a high, the actual plastic used for the lenses, the polycarbonate, is very, very clear. So they're much better than wearing these. But anyway, I've got these, I forgot. Better than nothing, I suppose, but not ideal. So I've made 2 cuts, all right? Effectively, you can argue, oh, that must be perfectly straight now. No. No, do you know why? Because I haven't got a straight reference face. Have I? How are you going to create a straight reference face? Now, there are ways of doing it on a table. So one is with sleds. Some of them you can actually create like, you can create one straight edge. So basically by having, let's say for instance this was a straight edge, you could fix your straight edge to the edge of the board like so, and that goes up against your fence, and then effectively that cut there, so you're passing that through a bit like that. So yeah, temporary fix this down basically temporarily fix the 2 pieces of wood together. And this face here on this piece of wood, if you have got a straight edge, will be your reference, so that wherever the cut is, that should be straight. Okay, I didn't explain it very well, but that's, take my word for it. All right. The other way is you can actually cut between the 2 pieces of wood. So effectively, you can temporarily fix them together, cut the battens going across or something like that, and then pass it past the fence. And then because they're together, you'll cut the thickness of the table saw blade out. But where the say for instance, you've got a concave in the actual, so it's effectively bending. It's got a bit of a bow in it that way. Okay. It won't take much material off there, but take more off the ends, and then you should be able to joint them together. So there's no way of doing it. But you haven't got a smooth finish to joint your boards. Now, if you're not worried, you know, if you're doing a bit of rough carpentry, well, then it doesn't matter. But if you don't want to see your glue joint, you need a good joint. You need a good, smooth joint. So jointing on the table saw, in my opinion, is not really a viable option for most people. For a start, you need probably an 80 tooth blade, and then it's probably going to burn a little bit, especially on things like pine and what have you. You see, when you're using coarse, you know, like 40, 60 tooth blades, you know, general purpose about 40 tooth on a 10-inch blade, isn't it? You know, you're going to end up with a bit of a rough cut. How is that ever going to be a good joint? It's just not, all right? And let me take you to my bench, and we'll see what you can do to correct it. I'm only doing this because somebody made a comment, and it's I don't buy it. You know, I really don't. There are ways to do it, and we might make some videos about that actually. But even then, this just isn't a perfect solution. It really isn't. So as long as I've got my vice in, I've got my vice there. We've got my vice. All right. I've got a little bit of glue mixed up here as well, so we'll glue that together at the same time. Let's bring it over here a bit So you think when you're doing this, you can't actually get the camera in the right place. So, oh dear, that's not ideal, is it? All right. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put you over here for now, facing this way. And we will apply a little bit of magnification. That'll do it, I think. There we are. I'm not editing this video. I'll try not to edit the videos if I can. For one reason, it just, well, takes me a hell of a lot of time. I get carried away as well. Now you can joint these by putting two in the vise together like so. All right? So literally clamping the vise together and playing the full width. But this is over 2 inches wide when you've got these two together here. It's about 55. So you're not going to be able to plane them unless you've got a wide plane. And most people aren't going to have that. So we're going to do it individually. All right? I'm looking at the grain. And then the grain at the moment is going in that direction. So it's leaving in that direction. So all I'm going to do is, because currently what's happening is, now normally I like the ends to touch and the middle to be a fraction, a tiny touch, like a thickness of a piece of paper in the middle. And the reason for that is if you're doing a tabletop, this is where different scenarios come in, when you do a tabletop, any shrinkage is going to end up on the ends. And if you make that tight joint all the way along, so it's basically marrying up perfectly, the ends will open up. And you'll have gappy joints in the ends of your tabletop as it gets in central heating homes or what have you. So, but a different scenario, let's say for instance, you want to glue this together with the view that you're going to cut it down into smaller pieces later, into your project, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing with this. You don't want that. You don't want them touching at the end, tiny, tiny gap in the middle. Because all you do is you have a gap in the middle. There's no point. Because it's going to be, say in this case, it will be cut in half or even to freeze. So I'm going to try and make a joint all the way along the board, nice and tight. Now I've got the actual piece of wood slanting down slightly, and the reason for that is why try and push a plane uphill? Now I've got my number 7 joint a plane, but equally you could use a number 5 for board that length quite happily. That's long enough. But saying that, that should do a better job because it's longer. Should do. So we're going to do a couple of swipes. So we're going to get rid of the saw marks. That's one thing that obviously makes you cut a bit, your joint a bit poor. Also, I need to take a bit of a thick shaving off there. Let's retract the iron a little bit. Let's have another go. Nice straight shavings like that. See now, if you look at that, all right, let's make a comparison between the two. Now, can you see that there? Can we get the texture there? That one there, right, has a lot of texture in it. Where that's been sawn. That's just a sawn cut. It's not, it's relatively smooth, but it's also a little bit on the fluffy side. This one here, I just run the hand plane over. That, as you can see, is shiny. Well, because it's smooth. So this board might be a little bit more because it's got 1, 2, 3 potential knots in it there. And they're the edge, only small knots, but the knots nevertheless, and they cause problems with the grain. So let's say, for instance, you want to try and maintain the angle of the grain that way. Wherever you get a knot, it's going to be going in both directions. Same here, it's going to be going in both directions. Can you see that? So as it goes over the knot, it's going upwards. The same on this side. It's going to be going over that knot there. And it's the same what's happening on that one there, see? So it affects your shaving. So actually, having the board the right way round, I don't think it really makes a lot of difference. You just got, it's the worst case scenario, I think, really. Right, so try and take a full shaving right across. I could feel on this one that it was high on the ends and low in the middle. I'm trying to get one long, smooth stroke. Now, what you've got to be careful, I've seen it so many times, in fact, I see other woodworking channels do exactly this. There's some really good channels out, actually. You know, Rob Cosman, Paul Sellers, I like Paul Sellers. He's a humble man, is Paul Sellers. I like him, he's a good guy. Well, there's others as well. I like Max Kruger. I think he's fun. I like Wood by Right. I think he's funny. They're just fun to watch. I don't necessarily agree with everything they do, but they are fun. I think they're fun. I like them. Now, I think the world's too grey. I think we need a bit of fun. And you probably at my channel, I try to make things a little bit hilarious at times, a bit stupid as well. If I'm not enjoying it, all right, when I make these videos, if I don't enjoy it, what point is there? It's definitely not for the blooming money, I'll tell you. So now I've done 2 swipes on there, which clearly isn't enough, because I've still got a bit of a gap down the middle of the boards. Can you see that? Now, if I was doing a tabletop, I might think, oh, okay, that's actually okay, all right? I might think that's all right. But means I'm going to be cutting it down. I don't want it like that. I'm going to have to make sure that I make those 2 back boards fit. Yeah, otherwise we're going to have a thick glue joint on one part and thin on the other, or potential stresses in the wood. I'm going to eye down it and just see which board has got the curve in it. It happens to be the one with the knots in. Where's that one? I'm looking down, eye up down. That one is nowhere near as bad. So I need to try and remove more of the ends than the middle. So retract the blade a little bit. Now you've got to be careful that when you're edging these boards up, if you aren't going to plane them together, that you end up going put a slight angle on it because you're like for instance, if you're planing that way, naturally we try and go that way, and then we put an angle on the edge of the wood. That's not ideal, is it? So I'm going to take a thin slice over here. So I need to remove a bit off the ends. And to do that, I started there, next shaving there, next shaving here, next shaving there, and took about a third in. And I'm going to do the same on this end as well. Okay. Now, if you've got a smoothing plane, ideally the plane iron should be sharpened without the camber, or have a second plane iron. And the smoothing plane is quite short for jointing, to be honest. And then when you're satisfied you took enough off, you've got shaving all the way along. Hopefully it will be true. We'll see. Oh, looking loads better. That's looking yummy. I think that's it. Yeah. So, all right, I'll bring it to you. You'll see. Being just so far away. Now I've still got a bit of an arrows taken off that board. I'm not worried about that because of what I'm using it for. Alright, so we've now got a continuous joint in that board, you see. Now you're not going to get that, like you saw with the table, so you're not going to get it because your reference face is not straight. Now any buy wood off the shelf, do you think it's going to be straight when it's been sitting there, being allowed to dry further and acclimatise to its conditions? No, it's going to bend all over the place. Like for instance, if you look at that, there, you can't probably so I can see there's a gap at each end. You won't know what to say, but there's a gap when it's rocky. It's only fraction, but the thing is, you see, when you run it along your fence, it's going to mimic that. But also, even if you've got a straight piece of wood and you're running that along the fence, you can still put a curve in it, just through a lapse of concentration. Or you've got one of them stupid roller things as an outfeed. They are the worst things, they are. Put you back a bit. Because the reason why I say that is a roller will try to persuade your wood to go in a certain direction. If you haven't perfectly aligned that with the table saw, or it moves, you know the sort of thing, they've got a metal roller on the top and they've got a little tripod leg set or something, you can adjust the height of them to your table saw. They're the worst thing because your wood will try and go off at an angle away from one direction or the other, and that will influence what's happening at the fence, which means you'll end up with a curved cut. Terrible idea. The ones with the little ball bearing type things in the top, they're better, but even they're crap. Just don't do it. You're better off with just a top. That's all I've got over there. It's just a large outfeed table, which I've currently moved the saw because I had to get some more room for the job I'm doing. But I've got a large outfeed table here. And that generally is set perfectly with this table. It's not at the moment because I've actually moved the table saw away from the wall a bit because I need extra room. Well, my project is too big. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to join these boards together. I'll tell you what, I'll bring you over here actually. All right, and I'll put the camera down so you can see. I'm not editing this video, so I do apologise if it's a bit on the long side. But we're nearly there. All right, so we've got 2 boards. All right, we've still got the groove on that side, and we've got 2 trued edges here. And to glue them together, all I do, I put 2 boards together like so. I grab my glue. Just getting a bit on the stiff side, mixed it a bit earlier. For the, this is the last of it. This is Cascamite powdered resin wood glue. That's this stuff. Okay, let's put it there. Let's apply some glue like so to the top. And I'm not spreading it at this stage. I don't use PVA that much. I do use it, but not as much as Cascamite. That's my go-to glue, it is. And then I use a paint roller with tape that's wrapped around it, like so. You see the tape around there? Okay, and that, as it builds up, all you've got to do is you just get a standing knife down and just break the tape away and put more tape on your way again. And this is for me, this is the perfect glue spreader because it stipples the glue at the same time as spreading it. And this glue's getting a bit on the thick side, so I fixed it about a couple of hours ago, this one. And it's quite warm today. But as you can see, it's spreading it and it's also applying pressure to the glue into the wood for penetration. We always like good penetration of the wood, don't we? Right, so now we've got 2 perfectly spread glue face. Both faces have been have got glue on, a little bit more on it on the end there. All right, just using that paint roller, wallpaper roller. Sorry, not paint roller, wallpaper roller. That's a seam roller for wallpaper. Now all I've got to do now is just put these 2 faces together, like so. And a couple of clamps on there, or maybe 3, depending on how it looks. It's looking right anyway. Starting in the middle. And one on the end. Now it's a bit of if you have to clamp them up so blooming tight, you're squeezing the life out of them. Well, then your board didn't join this properly, is it? And then it's going to fail. That'd be where it fails. It's all slippery. Right. If your glue's slipping like this, you can just put a bit of sugar in it. And the sugar will help prevent the slide and the slip and the slide. Make sure that's flat. Good. If you worry about that moving again, especially when you apply pressure with your clamps, yeah, they're good. You can put a couple of, oh my god, they've got big ones in there. Ooh, that's going to attach to shutters at the moment. Just put a clamp on each end, not necessarily one as big as this one. It's a 6-inch, and 2-inch would have done, or 3, or even a 4. Now you can put a couple of coals on there if you want to keep it flat. If you want, I don't need to, not for this job. This is all going to be cut into little tiny pieces. And no, I'm not making a chopping block out of pine because that's a stupid idea. Right. And all I'm doing, make sure the boards are lining up properly on the ends. Just gently apply a little bit of pressure, don't need too much. Like I say, if you're squeezing all the life out of them, try. That's perfect. That's good. They are, look. So that's all it is. That's simple. You know. Now there's no way you're going to get a good tight fit, especially in pine, because you're not going to get a smooth finish with a table saw. No. Now, some people say you can use a track saw. That is not. But you can joint the boards with a track saw. If you've got a good quality track saw, a good quality blade in the saw. You know, that is actually possible. I have done that before, but why would I do that here when I've got table saws, I've got, surface planers, I've got hand planes and what have you. Why would I do it that way? There's no point. There really isn't. Just do it the proper way. Anyway, hope it was helpful. Toodaloo.